Let's continue with our discussion on hatches then. If we click on the hatch tool, we see there are a variety of patterns, and there are 4 up here, but you can work your way through the list using the elevator button right here, up and down, or you can click the open all, and then we can see an expanded list of hatches. Okay, so for this one, let's switch to ANSI 32. And let's put our scale back to 1. So similar pattern, close. This time though, instead of evenly spaced 45-degree lines, we have evenly spaced 45-degree lines with a large gap between them. And the reason that we have a lot of these patterns is because in drawings, the patterns represent different kinds of material. For example, the 45-degree line might be used to represent cast iron, whereas the double line here, the ANSI 32, is used to represent steel. And then ANSI 37 is for white metals. Okay, so there's a bunch of line patterns, and then there's some other vector patterns that have some special applications. We've got names for them instead of codes, like dots. Dots will fill the area in with small vector points. And thank God we don't have to draw them one at a time. I do remember making drawings where you had to go in and dot, 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 thousands of little tiny dots in order to stipple. Hatch takes care of that quite nicely. Solid hatch, probably don't want to do this if you're paying for toner or ink, because man, that will be one big black blob when you're all done. Escher, S-C-E-C Escher, was an artist that specialized in illusions, visual illusions, so that's kind of a cool pattern there. I showed you a picture of a geological section earlier. So mudstone. Let's find it. Here we go. A pattern of dashes, and then 2 dots, and then dash and 2 dots, evenly spaced. And there are a lot of cool hatches in AutoCAD, but you know, if you needed something else, that doesn't mean these are the only ones you have access to. These are just the ones they give us for free. You can go online and find hatch patterns for free for different things. You can go online and buy hatch patterns if you had a special need. A quick Google search for AutoCAD hatch patterns will reveal a bunch. If you specify you'd like the free ones, well, you can download a free library of hatch patterns. Some products like StoneCAD makes engineered stone for applications like veneer facing. They produce, in this company, the hatch patterns that go along with the product that they make, and you can go to the company website and download their hatch patterns. So those are some ways of getting. And then if we're working in a field like architecture and we wanted something real specific, like this is clay tile roofing, like for the mission style or Spanish style roof, this is not a pattern that comes in AutoCAD, but you can easily go online and find it, spend a couple of bucks, purchase it, install it into your AutoCAD library, and then you are off and running and you've got that hatch pattern to use. Okay, so all of these patterns made out of lines or dots or combination of lines and dots and solid fills, these are called vector hatch patterns. AutoCAD has another kind of hatch pattern too. So here's hatch, and it's called a gradient hatch. So now a gradient hatch, if you get next to a closed shape, here's the idea. We got 2 colors. We have blue, we have yellow, and the pattern is to go from blue to yellow and then transition between the 2. Okay, so we just filled in an area with this gradient color. It's kind of grayish in the middle, but it transitions the one color to the other. Now, if you're wondering, when would you ever use something like this? Well, these do have applications, probably a little bit more artistic, than anything else, to tell you the truth. If we take a look even at the tooltip, you see the little pond there, how on the one end of the pond it's light blue, almost white, and on the other end it's dark blue. So this is to give your drawing a little punch, a little pizzazz. You don't have to use the yellow and blue. You can set up whatever colors you wanted to. Right? If I don't want blue and yellow, I can go blue and white. And if I don't like dark on one side and light on the other, I can go dark on both sides and light in the middle, or light on both sides, dark in the middle. And so there's a variety of different hatch effects for the gradients so that you can get the effect that you're looking for and that you're happy with. Okay, so play around, put in a couple of gradients there to see how those work. In your course pack, I've included a few examples that show how gradients can be used to make a 2D drawing look like it's a 3D object by creative use of gradient hatch on different parts, different faces, different closed areas there. Okay. Now, of course, the caveat is we have to have a closed shape. Hatches, whether vector or gradient, will fill any closed shape, but the shape must be closed. If the shape is not closed, then we are going to get nothing. So let's do a little experiment here. And we'll have a few different objects. And the question is, can I fill that with a hatch? Well, what do you think? Well, of course, because it is a closed shape. Circles are closed shapes, right? How about this one? Is this a closed shape? Well, you can tell it's a closed shape because it filled. How about this one if we did this? Now, is this a closed shape? Now, check it out. That part of it is a closed shape. And I know that there's a little bit sticking out there. So that doesn't mean there wasn't a closed area though. So that works. But if we did this and we go to do a hatch and click inside there, it's going to tell you, hey, can't do it. I can't find a closed boundary. They'll even draw little red circles to show you, hey, you got problems here, buddy. Okay, so the little red circles go away if you RE, regenerate the screen. You do a little refresh or regen. There you go, regen. And then you can fix your geometry, snapping, and then your hatch should work just fine. Okay. Now there are some architectural materials that are also supplied. We go to the vector hatches, we see one called AR shake. And shakes are wooden shingles. Can't really have them in Bakersfield anymore, but at one time you could. So, too much of a fire hazard now. So when I click inside that box and hit enter, you might say, well, what the heck? Nothing happened. I don't see any pattern of wood shingles. Well, the problem is that the wood shingles are large, and these patterns are generally scaled either for materials on small items, mechanical items, or for architectural work, which is much larger. So all of these hatches that have the AR shake, if you do them in a larger area, you will see the pattern. Okay, so there's that shake, those irregular wooden roof tiles. And if we go to AR herringbone, this would be a herringbone brick pattern, like in a walkway perhaps. We'll do another couple, just so we can have a look. AR parquet is parquet wood flooring. We have alternating horizontal and vertical bands of wood. And then my favorite to not have to do by hand, AR conch. AR concrete, architectural concrete. You know, drawing a bunch of little triangles and dots by hand is absolutely no fun, and I can tell you that from experience. There's also quite a number of block patterns for different bonds of block. So different ways of laying out brick and block, they are also included in the architectural materials, and they're already scaled up to the correct sizes. Okay, so you can play around with some of those larger AR patterns if you want and see how they work. And that is our discussion on hatches.